The silence inside Buckingham Palace has been shattered, just when Prince William thought he had won the war, just when he believed he had successfully stripped Queen Camilla of her power, frozen her offshore accounts, and legally exiled her children from the royal orbit. The palace has been hit with a devastating counterstrike. Camilla is not going quietly. In a move that has left the future king absolutely white-knuckled with rage, Queen Camilla has just dropped a legal bombshell of her own. She has invoked a secret, ironclad legal clause that completely bypasses William's authority and leaves him entirely powerless. And the words she reportedly screamed down the corridors of the palace are echoing in the halls of history. "I will be inheriting her assets." Her, the late Queen Elizabeth II. For decades, the public believed that the late Queen's vast, multi-billion-dollar private fortune would seamlessly pass to King Charles, and eventually to Prince William. But the reality is far more complex, far more sinister, and utterly devastating for the future of the monarchy. Camilla has just revealed that Charles, in a desperate bid to protect his wife before he stepped aside, secretly amended the inheritance structures. He didn't just leave Camilla a cash payout, he legally entangled her in the private estate of Queen Elizabeth II, ensuring that when Charles passes away, Camilla walks away with billions, and William cannot touch a single penny. This is Camilla's final revenge. It is the ultimate betrayal, and it has plunged the royal family into a constitutional and financial apocalypse. The empire of the late Queen, the hidden billions. To understand the sheer catastrophic magnitude of Camilla's legal strike, you have to understand the scale of the wealth we are talking about. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, the public was fed a carefully curated narrative. We were told she was leaving her beloved corgis, her private horse racing stables, and a famous stamp collection, a cute, relatable inheritance for a grandmother. That was a massive, calculated lie. Queen Elizabeth II was not just a grandmother, she was the head of a multi-billion-dollar private empire. We are talking about the sprawling 50,000-acre Balmoral estate in the Scottish Highlands, valued at over $100 million. We are talking about the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, a massive commercial farming and real estate empire worth another $80 million. We are talking about the late Queen's private jewelry collection, a vault of diamonds, rubies, and sapphires so vast and so priceless that it makes the crown jewels look like costume jewelry. And then, there were the secret offshore accounts, the investment portfolios hidden in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, the private Duchy of Lancaster revenues that were quietly reinvested and allowed to compound, tax-free, for over 70 years. When you add it all up, the liquid cash, the private lands, the commercial real estate, the art, and the jewels, the late Queen's private fortune was estimated to be between $4 billion and $5 billion. This was not the Crown Estate. This was not government money. This was the private, personal wealth of Queen Elizabeth II, passed down through generations of the Windsor family. And the assumption was that it would flow directly to King Charles and then to Prince William, securing the financial future of the monarchy for generations to come. But Charles, paranoid about his legacy and terrified of leaving Camilla unprotected, orchestrated a massive financial deception. He didn't just leave Camilla a widow's pension. He didn't just hand her the keys to Balmoral. He legally enshrined her as a primary beneficiary of his mother's estate, ensuring that she would inherit a massive a portion of the late Queen's private wealth. How did this happen? How did the future king lose control of his own grandmother's fortune? The answer lies in the dark, paranoid final months of King Charles's active reign. As Charles's health deteriorated and the reality of his cancer diagnosis set in, he became obsessed with protecting Camilla. He knew William despised her. He knew the moment he died, William would use his absolute power as king to strip Camilla of her titles, evict her from the palaces, and cut off her funding. Charles was terrified. He was willing to do anything to protect the woman he loved, even if it meant betraying his own son and the institution he was sworn to protect. So, Charles's legal team began working in the shadows. They didn't just draft a secret will, they created a complex, labyrinthine network of private trusts and legal amendments that would effectively lock William out of his own inheritance. Charles used a legal mechanism known as a life interest trust. Under this structure, he didn't just leave the assets to Camilla outright. He legally designated that the income generated by the late Queen's private estates, the investment portfolios, and the commercial rents would be paid directly to Camilla for the rest of her life. But Charles didn't stop there. In a move that has legal experts reeling, he also amended the trust to include a capital access clause. This clause allows Camilla to draw down on the principal assets, not just the income. In plain English, this means Camilla doesn't just get the interest, she gets the actual billions. She can sell the jewelry. She can liquidate the offshore accounts. She can sell the private estates if she chooses. And William, as the future king, has absolutely no legal power to stop her. The trust is irrevocable. It is sealed in a secret London court, protected by centuries of royal legal privilege, and the moment Charles passes away, it triggers automatically. When William's legal team discovered this amendment, the reaction was reportedly volcanic. William is said to have thrown a massive fit, screaming that his father had betrayed him, that Camilla had stolen his grandmother's legacy, and that the monarchy was being looted by a woman who had no right to it. But William's rage is impotent. The law is the law, and Camilla holds all the cards. We are witnessing the most devastating financial betrayal in the history of the British monarchy. Camilla has legally outmaneuvered Prince William and secured billions of the late Queen's private wealth. But before we dive into the terrifying fallout inside the palace walls, we need you in this with us. If you think Prince William is the victim and Camilla is stealing the royal fortune, hit the subscribe button and drop a 1 in the comments right now. But if you think Camilla has the right to protect herself and that Charles did the right thing by providing for his wife, hit subscribe and drop a 2. We need to know where you stand because the royal family is reading the room. The palace is watching the public reaction to gauge their next move. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next massive update. We are just getting to the most terrifying part of this royal crisis. Now, back to the chaos. Prince William is trapped. The future king, the man who spent a decade meticulously planning his rise to power, has been completely outmaneuvered. He thought he had stripped Camilla of her power. He thought he had frozen the Swiss bank accounts and seized the Balmoral estate revenues. But he was playing checkers, while Camilla was playing three-dimensional chess. When William's legal team attempted to execute his decrees as Prince Regent, they hit a massive, impenetrable legal wall. The royal lawyers discovered that the Life Interest Trust and the Capital Access Clause are protected by a legal doctrine known as royal prerog, additive of mercy, a bizarre, ancient legal loophole that essentially states that the private financial arrangements of a reigning monarch cannot be undone by a regent. In other words, because Charles made these arrangements while he was the active reigning king, William, as regent, does not have the authority to override them. Only the reigning monarch can alter a royal trust of this magnitude, and Charles, broken and sick, is refusing to sign the revocation. William is now facing a terrifying reality. He is the Prince Regent. He holds the executive power of the state. He can sign legislation. He can dissolve parliament. He can command the armed forces, but he cannot touch Camilla's money. The sheer, unadulterated humiliation of this is staggering. William is watching his own grandmother's fortune being siphoned off to the woman who destroyed his parents' marriage, and there is absolutely nothing he can do about it. The legal trap is perfect. If William tries to challenge the trust in court, he risks a massive public legal battle that would expose the royal family's secret finances to the world. It would trigger a constitutional crisis, dragging the monarchy through the mud and giving the Republican movement the ultimate ammunition. William is forced to watch, seething with rage, as Camilla secures her billions. For Camilla, this isn't just about money. This is about vengeance. She has spent 50 years being vilified. She was called the most hated woman in Britain. She was blamed for the destruction of the fairy tale marriage between Charles and Diana. She endured decades of public hatred, whispered insults, and frosty receptions from the royal establishment. And through it all, she smiled, she waved, she played the dutiful wife. But behind the scenes, she was taking notes. She was watching the way the royal family treated her, and she was biding her time. She knew that the only way to truly protect herself was to secure the one thing the royal family cares about more than anything else: money. Camilla's legal saint. Reek is a psychological warfare operation. She knows exactly what she is doing. By inheriting the late Queen's assets, she is not just securing her financial future, she is sending a direct, brutal message to Prince William. She is telling him, "You thought you could erase me. You thought you could exile my children, but I hold the keys to your grandmother's vault. I wear her jewels. I live in her estates, and you cannot touch me." This is the ultimate revenge. Camilla is weaponizing the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II against her own grandson. She knows that William revered his grandmother. She knows that the public reveres the late Queen. And by entangling herself in the late Queen's estate, Camilla is making it impossible to attack her without attacking the memory of Queen Elizabeth II. It is a masterstroke of psychological manipulation, and it is working. William is reportedly paralyzed with indecision. Every time he thinks about challenging the trust, he is reminded of the public backlash. How can he attack the woman who is legally entitled to his grandmother's fortune? How can he strip her of the assets without looking like a greedy, vengeful prince? Camilla has turned the tables. She has transformed herself from the villain of the royal drama into the legally protected widow of the king, and she is using every legal tool at her disposal to ensure that William can never hurt her again. While William stews in his impotent rage, the Parker Bowles family is celebrating. Camilla's children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, who were just legally exiled by William, are watching their mother secure billions of dollars in royal assets, and they know that when Camilla passes away, the remnants of that fortune will pass to them. This is the financial bleeding of the British monarchy, the billions that were supposed to secure the future of the Windsor dynasts. Are now being siphoned off to the Parker Bowles family. The private estates, the jewelry, the offshore accounts, all of it is now under the control of a woman who has no royal blood and no loyalty to the institution. The financial implications are staggering. The royal family is already facing a massive crisis. The cost of maintaining the palaces, the security details, and the royal households is soaring. The public is demanding greater transparency and accountability. And now, the private fortune that was supposed to cushion the monarchy against financial ruin is being handed to Camilla. William is facing a future where he is a king with immense political power but vastly reduced personal wealth. He will inherit the crown estate, which belongs to the state, and the Duchy of Cornwall, which generates income for the heir. But the massive private billions of Queen Elizabeth II will be gone. This is Camilla's ultimate victory. She has not just secured her own future, she has enriched her family for generations to come. She has taken the wealth of the Windsors and transferred it to the Parker Bowles clan, and she has done it all legally, right under William's nose. The royal household is in absolute uproar. The staff are terrified. The courtiers are scrambling. The financial advisors are desperately trying to find a way to mitigate the damage, but the legal walls are too high. The Parker Bowles family has won, and the House of Windsor is paying the price. Prince William is not a man who accepts defeat easily. As the reality of Camilla's legal trap sinks in, William is reportedly considering the nuclear option. He is exploring every possible legal avenue to break the life interest trust and strip Camilla of her inheritance. His legal team is reportedly looking into a massive, unprecedented legal challenge. They are exploring the possibility of invoking the public interest doctrine, a legal principle that allows to use the state to seize assets if they are deemed to be vital to the national interest. William's lawyers are arguing that the late Queen's private assets are part of the national heritage, and that transferring them to Camilla constitutes a threat to the cultural and historical integrity of the nation. They are trying to frame this as a matter of national security, not just a family dispute. But this is a dangerous game. If William pushes this legal challenge, he risks triggering a massive constitutional crisis. The courts would be forced to rule on the private financial affairs of the monarch, something they have avoided for centuries. It would expose the secret offshore accounts, the tax exemptions, and the massive wealth of the royal family to public scrutiny. And it would pit the future king against the dying king's wife in a public, legal death match. The British government is watching with growing alarm. The Prime Minister is caught in a nightmare. They cannot intervene in a private legal dispute, but they cannot allow the monarchy to be dragged through the courts. The political instability is sending shockwaves through the financial markets. William is desperate. He is considering risking the entire monarchy to get his grandmother's fortune back, but he knows that if he fails, the backlash will be catastrophic. He will be seen as a vengeful, greedy prince who tried to steal from a widow, and Camilla will emerge as the ultimate victim, her image rehabilitated once again. The stakes are impossibly high, and the clock is ticking. Everyday Charles weakens, the closer Camilla gets to claiming her billions. And what of King Charles? The king is reportedly bedridden, his health deteriorating rapidly. He is in constant pain, struggling to communicate and increasingly isolated from the day-to-day affairs of the monarchy. Charles is the architect of this disaster. In his desperate bid to protect Camilla, he has destroyed his son's future and plunged the monarchy into chaos. He believed he was doing the noble thing, providing for his wife after he was gone. But he failed to see the bigger picture. He failed to see that by enriching Camilla, he was impoverishing William. The relationship between father and son is now non-existent. William reportedly refuses to visit Charles. He communicates with his father only through legal aides and senior staff. The bond between them, once strained by duty and the ghost of Diana, is now completely severed. Charles is dying, and he knows it, and in his final days, he is watching the family he tried to protect tear itself apart over the billions he secretly stashed away. He is paralyzed by his own decisions. If he revokes the trust, he betrays Camilla. If he leaves it in place, he betrays William. There is no way out. The king is trapped in his own gilded cage, a prisoner of his own paranoia and his love for a woman who has brought the monarchy to its knees. Charles's legacy is crumbling. He waited 70 years to be king, and his reign will be remembered for nothing but scandal, sickness, and the spectacular financial betrayal of his own son. He will be remembered as the king who gave away the crown's fortune to the woman who destroyed his first marriage. And William will never forgive him. The legal war between Prince William and Queen Camilla is not just a family drama, it is a full-blown constitutional crisis. The British government is in absolute chaos. The Prime Minister, already dealing with a fractious parliament and a struggling economy, is watching the royal family implode with growing horror. The British Constitution relies on the monarch being above politics and above the law. But now, the future king is threatening to use the courts to seize assets from the current king's wife. This is completely uncharted territory. The lawyers are scrambling. The constitutional experts are arguing on live television. Can a prince regent challenge a life interest trust created by a reigning monarch? Does the public interest doctrine apply to the private wealth of the royal family? The legal implications are staggering. If William wins, it sets a precedent that the state can seize the private wealth of the monarch at any time. If Camilla wins, it establishes that the monarch's private financial arrangements are completely untouchable, even by the future king. Parliament is in an uproar. The debates are ferocious. On one side, you have the monarchists screaming that William is right to protect the national heritage. On the other side, you have the Republicans, who are cheering, viewing this as the ultimate proof that the monarchy is a corrupt, outdated institution that needs to be abolished entirely. The political instability is sending shockwaves through the financial markets. The pound is fluctuating. International investors hate uncertainty, and right now there is no institution in the world more uncertain than the British Crown. The Commonwealth is also reeling. The sight of the royal family fighting over billions in court has given massive momentum to the Republican movements in Canada, Australia, and the Caribbean. Why should these countries retain the British monarch as their head of state if the royal family is tearing itself apart over money? The empire isn't just fading, it is being actively dismantled. The legal war between William and Camilla has triggered a domino effect that will permanently alter the geopolitical landscape of the world. The British monarchy has been fundamentally, irrevocably changed. King Charles is dying, betrayed by his own body and paralyzed by his own decisions. Queen Camilla has executed the ultimate revenge, securing billions of the late Queen's private wealth and leaving Prince William legally powerless. The bombshell she dropped is not just a legal maneuver, it is a declaration of war. She has weaponized the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II against her own grandson, ensuring that she will walk away from the monarchy as one of the wealthiest women in the world. And William is trapped. He is the future king, but he is a king without his crown jewels. He is facing a future where the Parker Bowles family holds the keys to the Windsor vault, and there is nothing he can do about it. The fairy tale is dead. The magic is gone. What remains is a brutal, legal death match between the future king and the queen consort, fighting over the billions of a dead queen. The walls are closing in, the secrets are spilling out, and the House of Windsor will never be the same. What do you think? Do you think Prince William should risk a constitutional crisis and challenge Camilla's legal claim in court? Or should he accept defeat and let her walk away with the billions? Comment below with your verdict. And if you think there are even more secrets buried in the royal vaults, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell right now. We are just scratching the surface of the royal web of lies, and the next leak is coming sooner than you think.